I watched a buyer overpay by $40,000 in a home in Southern Maine last year, not because they had to, but because they didn't understand one thing about how Maine sellers actually think. If you're getting close to writing an offer on a home up here, especially as a relocation buyer, this is the video I wish every one of my clients watched before our first call. Because the difference between winning the right home at the right price and losing your shirt really comes down to 4 or 5 small decisions most buyers never think about. And here's why this matters, guys, especially now. Southern Maine is still a market where good homes get multiple offers. Not the frenzy of 2021, but tighter than most people expect. If you're coming from California or New York or Illinois, or really anywhere on the West Coast or any of these states where property values are really high, you'll be tempted to assume Maine sellers think like sellers back home where you're coming from. They don't. Guys, my name is Scott Tebow. I'm a real estate advisor, realtor here in Southern Maine. I've written and structured hundreds of offers for relocation buyers, move-up buyers, downsizers, all across this region for many years, all across Maine and specifically in Southern Maine. And the framework I'm going to give you today is the exact one I walk every serious client through before we write our first offer. This isn't about gimmicks. It's understanding what the seller actually wants, which is almost never just the highest price. Quick note before we get into it, guys. I put together a free offer strategy playbook that walks you through everything in this video, plus the contract clauses I actually use. It's linked in the description below. No email gate, no pressure, just a resource to help you guys. All right, let's get into it. 5 things that win offers in Maine. Number 1, stop thinking like a bidder. Start thinking like a problem solver. Here's the mistake almost every buyer, whether it's a relocation buyer or someone who already lives in Maine, makes. They treat the offer like an auction. They ask their agent, and I get asked this quite a bit, how much do I need to bid to win this house? I really, really want it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the wrong question, and it's why people overpay. Maine sellers aren't auctioneers. They're people, often longtime owners, often emotional about their home, often juggling their own next move. What they want isn't always more money. It's certainty. It's a clean offer. It's someone they trust to actually close. When I sit down with a serious buyer, the first conversation isn't about price. Generally, it's about where do you want to live first, your lifestyle, then it's about the house, and then it's about the price. But when we get to price, it's about figuring out what this particular seller actually needs. And that's my job. I gather that information as much as I can from the listing agent. Are they downsizing and trying to time a purchase on the other end? Are they in an estate sale where multiple siblings need everyone to agree? Are they relocating for a job with a hard deadline? Once we know what a seller actually needs, we can structure an offer that gives it to them. And a smart, structured offer beats a higher number almost all the time, more times actually than people realize. Number 2, every offer has 5 levers, and price is only one of them. Most buyers only pull the price lever. Sharper buyers pull the right combination of all 5. Here's the levers I use when I'm consulting with a buyer. And just a quick note, guys, I sell a lot of houses as well, so I'm very versed on both sides of the ledger. Let's get into the levers. Lever 1, price, and that's obvious. But the highest price doesn't always win. I've watched lower offers win because the rest of the package was cleaner. Lever 2, earnest money. The deposit you put up at signing. A larger earnest money deposit signals seriousness. A $700,000 home, as an example, going from a 1% deposit to a 3% deposit can mean more to the seller than another $5,000 in an offer price. Lever 3, inspection terms. This is where most buyers leave money on the table. You don't always have to waive inspections to be competitive, but you can shorten the window, agree to do inspection for information only, or set a meaningful repair threshold below which you won't ask for anything. This signals you're not going to nickel and dime them at the back end. Lever 4, closing timeline. Some sellers need to close fast. Some need to close in 60 and 90 days. Some need a free rent back after closing to coordinate their own move. Asking what timeline actually works for the seller and then offering it to them is one of the most powerful moves you can make. And lever 5, financing strength. A pre-underwriting letter from a local lender is dramatically more credible than a generic pre-approval from your bank back home. Maine sellers and listing agents, and again, I am one of them as well, know the local lenders. I strongly encourage you that you use one. All right, guys, those are the 5 levers. Now let's look at number 3, the inspection trap. Here's where I see buyers either lose deals they should have won or overpay to avoid losing them altogether. They get told, you have to waive inspections to be competitive. That's the wrong answer, and it's a dangerous one in Maine specifically. Maine has an older housing stock. Foundations, roofs, septic systems, oil tanks, these things all matter. Waiving inspection on a 1920s home that you've never seen in person is how some people end up with a $40,000 surprise 3 months into it. The larger move is a competitive offer. Keep your inspection, but signal that you're a reasonable inspector. Shorten the inspection period from 10 to 5 days. Set a repair threshold, meaning you won't come back asking for cosmetic items, only for significant issues over, say, $5,000. Or do an inspection for information only, meaning you'll inspect but won't renegotiate based on what you find unless something is structural. And guys, that $5,000, it's a pretty good number because anything like a furnace, a roof, a foundation, a septic system, a well, it's all going to be more than $5,000. Sellers fear inspection redos. Take that fear off the table without giving up your protection, and you've just made your offer significantly more attractive without raising your price. Number 4, know what you're walking away from before you write the offer. I go through this exercise all the time with my clients. This is the discipline most overpaying buyers don't have. They fall in love with a house, get into a competitive situation, the emotion takes over, and they end up paying $25,000 above what they should have said was their ceiling a week earlier. Before I write an offer, I have my clients write down 2 numbers on a piece of paper. The first number is their walk-away number, the price above which this home is no longer a smart purchase, regardless of how much they love it. I get to that number by asking a simple question. Let's say your budget is $500,000 and you're not going to pay a penny over $500,000. That's your walkaway number. So I go through this simple exercise. All right, Jim and Sally, if this house went for $501,000 and you stopped at $500,000, would you be upset? It's a simple question. And if they say no, then their walkaway number is $500,000. But if they say, well, geez, Scott, if we knew we could have got it for $501,000, we would have offered that. Then your walkaway number is not $500,000. It's important to do that mental exercise yourself when you're in a competitive situation. The second is your reach number. What you'd pay if every other variable was perfect and there was real competition, 5, 6, 7 additional offers. Then put that paper away. When the negotiating gets hot, and it will, go look at that paper, not your emotions, the paper. I've had clients lose homes by sticking to their walkaway numbers. They were disappointed for 2 weeks. We found them another home and it was at a better price every single time. In the long run, they were grateful that I held them to their walkaway number. And number 5, the cover letter question. You've probably heard about buyer cover letters, sometimes called love letters, the story of your family letter you write to the seller hoping it tips the scales in your favor. Here's the honest answer in 2026. Cover letters can help, But they also create fair housing risks for sellers, and many listing agents now refuse to share them. So they've become less useful than they used to be. But the underlying principle still matters. The more your offer feels like a real person with a real plan rather than just a number, the better. If a letter is the right tool, fine. But more often than not, the way to communicate this is through the structure of the offer. Clean terms, reasonable inspections, financing they can trust, timing that works for them. The terms tell the story. Here's what I want you guys to leave with, and I'm going to give you an example. I just sold a house in North Saco for $740,000. It was a very competitive situation. Now, I was on the listing side. I was representing the seller. We had 3 offers that were like right in line with each other, and 2 of those offers came with love letters. I instructed my sellers to ignore the love letters because it's against fair housing trade, but they read them anyways. They really liked one other offer more than the offer that we accepted because it was like $5,000 more than the offer that we accepted originally. But before we agreed to accept the offers, I said, let me have one more call with these buyers or these buyer agents. And I asked them both, we're in a competitive situation. Do you want to add anything else to your offer? You don't have to, but do you want to add anything else to your offer? One said, we'll offer an appraisal gap. I said, how much? They gave me a number. I said, I'm going to need to see that money's in their bank account. Sure enough, we accepted an offer for less money than the original offer, but it did have an appraisal gap. So here's what happened. The appraiser came out, and the appraisal was less, not much, but was less than the offer price. The appraisal gap covered the difference, and my sellers went with that offer, and they were glad they did because this buyer was smart enough to understand what my sellers needed. They gave them time because they were moving to Florida. They gave them options, and my sellers loved it. Thankfully, it was a clean close. Everything went well, and the buyers didn't challenge anything. They actually did say we want it for information purposes only. But my sellers were still concerned if something came up because they don't know. But nothing came up. So it worked out. But I'm just saying those are examples of what can happen in real life. Most buyers think winning an offer means paying the most. The best buyers I work with understand that winning an offer means presenting the cleanest, most certain package. And that often costs less, not more. Sellers want to close. They want smooth, drama-free path from contract to closing. Give them that, and you'll find yourself winning offers that other buyers tried to win with more money. And the real win isn't even the home. It's not overpaying for the home. 5 years from now, the people who structured smart offers will have built in more equity than the people who threw money at the problem. That's the long game, folks. And the long game in Maine is the real estate market is still appraising and still rising. If you're 30, 60, or 90 days out from writing an offer in Southern Maine, do 2 things. Like I said before, download that free offer strategy playbook in the description. It walks through everything in this video, plus specific contract clauses I use. The inspection language, the financing language, the timing setups. I'll save you a lot of guesswork. Second, if you want me in your corner before you write an actual offer, book a 15-minute buyer strategy call with me. There's no pressure, no pitch. We'll talk through the specific situation. We'll talk about the house you're looking at, the seller, the market, and you'll come away with a real plan. Bad offers are expensive. Good offers don't have to be. Guys, I hope this was helpful. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope to see you back on a future video. Take care. Scott Tebow, over and out. Bye-bye.